Hello, I've got a yoga for easing low back tension tonight. But let's just take a moment first to come into the present moment, to get settled, to get grounded. So come to a comfortable tall seat, crossed legs, or even sitting on your heels. Let's actually take a few rounds of seated cat-cow. So inhale to arc the back, fill the lungs. Exhale, tuck the tail under, round the back, tuck the chin to the chest. Inhale, roll the pelvis forward, belly forward, chest, gaze lifts. Exhale, tuck the tail, round the back, chin to chest. Inhale, rolling forward, back bending, shoulders back. Exhale, rounding back, chin to chest, tailbone tucks under. Nice deep breaths. You can also do this one with your knees bent out, feet in front of you. Knees can widen as you inhale and come together as you exhale. Three more, whichever position you're in. Last one. Alright, come to a comfortable seated position, and if your low back is causing some strain for you, you actually might like to sit up on something. Let me grab myself a prop. So it could be a folded blanket or towel. The idea is to raise your pelvis up so that it can be sitting more neutral instead of rounding back. So bring the sacrum and the low back up. Right. We'll do a few shoulder rolls forward and up as you inhale, back and down as you exhale. Just 3 more of those. Feel the shoulder blades making circles on your back. Good, and then feel your sit bones rooting into the floor. Leg bones root down, outer feet, and then feel your waistline lengthen. Your rib cage lifts up, your skull lifts up. Crown of the head reach to the sky as the chin gently dips down. And bring one hand to your heart, one to your belly, and feel an expansion into the hands as you breathe in, and feel the breath emptying away from the hands as you breathe out. Breathing in and out through the nose, filling the belly and lungs, emptying the belly and lungs, navel to spine, breath exits the body. Soften the muscles of your face, your brow, your eyes. Really feel an anchoring from your pelvis down through the floor into the center of the earth, and feel a lot of stability rooting you down so that your spine can be very lightly lifting up tall right through the crown of your head. See how much you can soften your eyes, your eye sockets, your jaw. If in any moment stillness feels it feels like your mind or body are resisting stillness, Then let yourself rock or sway with the breath. You can rock the hips or the chest or the head. Or you can let your fingers have a focus. You can connect index finger to thumb, middle finger to thumb, ring finger to thumb, pinky finger to thumb, resting your hands, palms face up on your thighs or knees. So if stillness feels like something you're resisting mentally or physically, give yourself an option to move, but keep breathing. And if stillness feels possible and easeful and natural in any moment, then come to stillness and see if you can hold stillness. Let your breath be a gentle ujjayi, a gentle whisper sound created by a whispering vibration in the throat. And amidst the stillness, remind yourself again to feel for that grounding quality through the tailbone. Imagine that grounding energy going down to the center of the earth and hooking in. I like to imagine a copper rod from my tailbone down, down, down to the center of the earth, a metal hook on the end of it hooking into the center of the earth, and then envision that to draw tight or taut. So you're really anchored. And then allow your mental energy, your physical energy, emotional energy, anything that's ready to be released and cleared and grounded, release it down through the pelvis, through that grounding cord. And let your breath facilitate releasing what's finished and receiving new energy. Let's come around down to laying on our backs. So I would say flat on your back unless you really want a bit of a pillow. It could be a low pillow, but I'm gonna go without for now. So laying down on your back, keep your knees bent. Take out your bun if you need to. Alright. Knees bent, heels on the floor. I have my hands in my belly, but your arms could also be out to the side. Just take 3 breaths, fill your belly. As you inhale and exhale, empty your belly. Good, and then open your arms out to the sides into a T shape. I don't have quite enough space here, but close to a T shape. Flex your toes up off the floor, so your heels are down but your toes are up. Bring your heels wider than hip distance apart and rock your knees over to the right. Inhale, knees up through center. Exhale, knees to the left. Think of using a little bit of engagement from the lower front torso, the core area. Inhale, knees up. Exhale, knees down to the right. You can think of hugging or tethering low front ribs to upper front hips. Bringing some mobility as the pelvis rocks side to side with the thighs. Some stability with the ankles flexed, keeping the knees safe, keeping the ankles safe. You can even add in a twisting all the way up the spine. As your knees go right, your head can turn left. As your knees go left, your head can turn right. See if you can let the exhales get longer. 2 more rounds, so 2 more times each side. Inhaling up, long, releasing exhale, knees down to the side, gaze opposite the knees. Long breath in, knees rise, a little bit of core to bring you gradually up, and exhale, turning the knees the other way. Extending the exhale, inhaling. 1 more time each side. Extend the exhale, release, soften. Alright, come back up to center. Rest your knees to touch, turn your heels out just slightly. And sometimes it just feels nice for me to lift my hips and set them back down. So you can do that 1 or 2 times. Lengthen the skull away from the shoulders, chin slightly to chest, not too much. You don't want to flatten the back of the neck. Hands on the belly, just take 3 breaths. Notice how you're feeling after that movement. Notice any sensations. One more deep breath. Good. Right. I want you to hug both knees towards your chest. It might be a little, might be a lot. So depending on what's available to you and what feels safe in your low back. See if you can start to squeeze the thighs towards the torso, and you can rock side to side. If you can come in a little tighter, you might even be able to interlace fingers around the fronts of shins, or maybe even reach one hand around opposite wrist, or hold opposite forearms. As you rock, wiggle your hips forward towards the front of the mat. Think pelvis to the front of the mat, knees to your chest. Heels forward, knees back, hips forward, head back. So you're lengthening the sides of your waist by wiggling your hips forward, making space for your low back. Good. And then just pause, curling in. You can, when I pause here, I like my knees to relax out wide a little bit. So maybe gripping a finger or interlacing fingers. See if you can breathe your belly against your thighs. And as your belly empties, it makes space for perhaps the thighs to come closer in. Breathe against the thighs. Exhale, thighs fold in. Good. So think of this like a reclining squat. Imagine if you were standing on the floor, so you can try flexing your feet, pull your toes back. So if you were on the floor instead of laying down, your feet would be on the floor, hips would be near the floor, so this would be the plane of the floor, sort of. Good, you can hug the shins in. Now let the thighs and knees come out a little wider and rock a little bit side to side. Your elbows can sort of catch you on the floor if your elbows are out and you're holding the fronts of your shins. Good. You can try pivoting the thigh bone, the whole leg, sort of forward, away from the torso. Just see if you can, sort of like what we did with our heels on the floor, but now our legs are not anchored to the floor, so we get a little bit of new movement. All right. And then you can roll all the way onto your right side. Bring your right arm under your head like a pillow. And just take a couple breaths to rest. See if you can bring your awareness across your low back and take a few deep breaths into your low back. You could even bring your left hand to your back as kind of a marker and try to breathe against your hand. In and exhale to release. Right, come back on to your back. This time, keep your right knee hugging in. Bring your left leg to the floor. So it could be left foot with the knee bent, or if it feels available to you, straighten the left leg. So anchor the foot down if your knee is bent, or anchor the heel down and the thigh down if your left leg is straight. So you're holding the front of your right shin if you can with interlaced fingers. If not, you might hold behind the thigh. We're seeing if we can bring that whole thigh bone towards the chest. Both feet are flexing, toes pulling back. So here, as you pull the knee in, think of lengthening your hips to the front of the mat, towards your heel, left heel. Hips towards the bottom or the front of your mat, towards your left heel. Skull back, right knee back. Good, and then you might be able to feel that as you pull your right knee in, the right hip might want to come with it. You want to keep your hips parallel, so the two hip points on the front of your hips, you want those parallel. So think of pushing the right hip forward even more, just so that you're not pulling the right hip back as you draw the knee back. Try to keep your legs parallel, so instead of letting the right heel turn in, the right knee turn out, keep the thigh bones parallel. Good. And then gradually release the right leg. Draw the left knee into your chest. Okay, just to have a little bit of balance, change the way you interlace your fingers. Right foot on the floor, or straighten the leg. Flex your feet, toes back. Anchor the right thigh bone down. Think of lengthening your pelvis towards the front of your mat, towards your right heel, as you draw your left thigh, left knee back towards your chest. Heels forward, hips forward, left knee back, skull back. Deep breaths. Notice if the right toes want to turn out. See if you can anchor the inner right thigh down towards the floor. Two more deep breaths. I call this position a sleeping lunge. So if you imagine on the floor, you'd have your ball of your back foot, your long leg foot on the floor, and your whole front foot flat on the floor. But instead, we get to do this reclining. Okay, I'm gonna switch legs again. Right knee to your chest, left leg extends. Good. Knee to chest, reach the heels forward, draw the right knee back, left thigh down, and then interlace behind your right thigh. Stretch your right heel towards the sky. So depending on the flexibility or tightness of your hamstrings, the back of your thigh, that might be a little or a lot. Just want to go until you can feel a stretch, and then keep breathing. If your knee lifts away from your chest, try straightening the leg less. Come to a stretch in the hamstrings, but try not to let the thigh come away from the torso. So with the bent knee, thigh towards torso, and keep it as close as you can as you come to a straighter leg. Good. So inner thigh muscles, try to rotate towards the back of the thigh. Good. Think of moving your right thigh forward as you reach your right toes back overhead. Might be a little intense. You might have a little shaking. If your foot gets tired of flexing, you can roll your toes in circles. Good. And then we'll release. Switch sides. So hug the left knee in. Extend the right leg, little or all the way. press forward through the heels, back through the left knee. Keep the left thigh close to the torso. Try not to let it move away as you straighten the left heel up, a little or a lot. Coming into a hamstring stretch on the back of the left thigh. Think of breathing to lengthen the back of the left leg. Shoulders roll back and down. So it's like you've got this nice, great posture. Shoulders back, chest is open, back of the neck is long. Another thing you can do if it doesn't feel great or accessible to hold behind the leg, you can wrap some kind of strap, yoga strap, or a scarf, or something around your foot and hold that. Alright, release the left foot down, and we'll do the windshield wiper legs again. So you can do it super gently, little gentle rocks, massaging the low back, or you can flex the feet again, widen the heels, and rock the legs all the way side to side. Just find whatever feels good in your body. Really gentle, relaxed feet, or wide with flexed feet, maybe even twisting the head. Knees left, gaze right, everything to center, exhale, twisting the other way. Alright, just to take a break from being on our back, supine, roll onto your right side, use your left hand to help you come to tabletop, hands and knees. So bring your wrists under your shoulders. I like to have sort of the middle of the wrist under the outer shoulder. Fingers spread wide, so and your hands are active, so actively spreading the hands, rooting the perimeter of your palm into the floor as well as the fingertips. Okay, and then knees under hips, toes can point or tuck. I'm choosing pointed for now, and we'll do cat-cow here on our hands and knees. So exhale, you'll tuck the tail, hollow the belly, round the back, chin to chest. Inhale, tip the sit bones up and back, belly down, chest down, gaze forward. Exhale, tuck the tail, hollow the belly, round the back, chin to chest. Inhale, untuck the sit bones, belly down, heart forward, gaze forward. You may even like to close your eyes, try a few nice slow rounds of breath. Link the movement to your breathing. And then bring a bit of freestyle motion into this. Just before we do, I'll give you another couple options. If your wrist needs something different, you could do this on fists, or you can do this on forearms, no problem, okay? So you've got options there for the hands. Okay, make it a little more freestyle. So you're gonna, what I like to think of is sort of like having a hula hoop. So I'm gonna draw my rib cage in circles, down through cow, ribs out to the right, up and back through cat, down and out to the left, and down through center through cow. Out to the right, back and up through cat. That's sort of giving you a little bit of 3D movement. Try circles the other way, down through center, rib cage over to the left, back and up, out to the right, down through center. So you can keep going like this, or you can add sort of twists and turns, leaning back and forward, turn the head. Bringing mobility to the pelvis, the spine, the neck, the wrists, maybe even the shoulders. You might dip a forearm at a time. Good. And then widen your knees apart, almost to the width of your mat. Big toes point together, hips back and down. Before you fold your chest down and bow your head, press your hands into the floor. Actively press forward, reach your hips back and down towards your heels. and then pull your heart forward, up and over the floor, and then fold the torso down. Good. You might gradually bring your forehead to rest, down to stacked fists, stacked palms, or right to the floor. I like stacked palms because it's nice to have the physical connection to my own hands. I like to rest my head down onto my hands. Alright, come back up, 2 hands and knees. 3 more rounds of cat and cow. So exhale to round. Inhale to arc. Back bend, belly down, heart forward. Exhale to round. Inhale to back bend. Last one, all the way in. And all the way out. Inhale as you're ready to a neutral spine. Alright. Go to seated. Sitting on a bit of a blanket or a towel could be great. Raise your pelvis and extend your right leg out. Extend your right leg out. Bring your left foot to your inner right thigh and rock your hips side to side, walking the sit bones back. So instead of letting your back round like this, I want you to try and raise up the seat so that your pelvis again is more neutral. You're bringing the base of your pelvis more to face the floor. Low back can lift almost at least towards its natural curve. Alright, so left foot to your inner right thigh, right leg extended, pull your right toes back, hands behind you, sit up nice and tall. This might be good enough. You might already start to feel a stretch in the back of the right thigh, the right hamstrings. Good, and then see if you can start to fold forward. It might be a little, might be still enough just here, getting a hamstring stretch. If you can go deeper, maybe even bringing your hands to the floor in front of you. So I'm folding between my thighs. You could also fold over the right leg. So using your left hand to grip the outer right shin, that then you can help to inhale, lift the torso, exhale, rotate over the right leg. Folding belly to thigh. So instead of prioritizing nose to knee, I want you to prioritize lengthening the front of the spine, lengthening the belly over the right thigh or in between the thighs, and then folding the lower torso down first, then the upper torso, and if you like, maybe even bowing the head. Your arms can help as support. They can help kind of traction you forward into lengthening the spine forward, or you can use them to prop you up to stop you from folding deeper than is comfortable. So you can prop them straight or bent to hold you up. So as we fold over the right leg, you're stretching the low left back. These muscles on the lower section behind the left half of the pelvis. And if you do a lot of sitting, it's great to stretch these every day. I was going to say, the name of the muscles is escaping me. I think it's the quadratus lumborum. Okay, so if it's feeling really tight in between the thighs, might feel better, or if you want to go a little deeper, twisting might get you a little more stretch. And there's lots of variations here. So you could also bring your right hand to the floor inside your right shin and do sort of a side stretch here. You can bring the left hand right to the quadratus lumborum muscles on the left side of the low back, just above the pelvis, or from the pelvis to the low back. So it can turn into a little bit of a side stretch, or it can be more of a forward fold. All right, inhale, make your way back upright. Bend the knee, and then we'll switch sides. So extend the left leg. Before you get too rushed into the fold, I want you to sit up really well. So pelvis is supported. Instead of the sit bones tucking under and your low back rounding back, I want your sit bones to walk back. And my hamstrings are one of the more flexible muscles in my body, so I've been doing this stretch since I was 7, that I can remember, many years, 2.5 decades. So you can see, even without a prop, my low back, my pelvis can tip forward, my low back can curve, but it's still nice to sit on a blanket to get the pelvis supported, so that the pose is not about holding the pelvis in place. So pelvis is supported and lifting the sacrum up. Okay, sacrum is a triangular bone just at the back of the pelvis there. You want it to lift up. See how my whole posture changes? Yeah, and then, so hands behind you to start. Open the chest, lift the whole spine, lift ribs off of hips, and then exhale, start to tip forward. It might be 1 degree, 10 degrees, 30 degrees. And you might feel enough of a hamstring stretch just like this. If your body is up for a little more, you can bring your hands ahead of you perhaps, fold between the thighs, or up and over the left leg. Again, you're prioritizing folding at the hips. So it's not about nose to knee and rounding the back. It's about lengthening the front of the torso up and over to fold low belly to thigh first, then upper belly. And you can take a couple breaths and see, can my upper belly fold any lower? Once it can fold no lower, you might let the chest drop a little bit. And then possibly, even if it feels good, letting the head bow, letting the head hang. Your arms are there to support you how you need, so they could prop you up. You could use them to traction you deeper into the stretch. Reach for your shin or your foot. You can also use a strap if you want. So a big hamstring stretch on the bottom of the left thigh for many people. You can also make this a bit of a side stretch. So right hand to your low back. Lifting, again, lift the torso up off the hips as you inhale and lengthen over the thigh as you exhale. With the hand on the low back, you get quite a shoulder opening. So if that feels like a strain, you can bring your hand to your right knee. Good. And one thing I didn't mention in the hamstring stretch with the leg extended, it can be quite intense. So you can also, if you have another towel rolled up, you can also prop under the knee closer to the thigh. So not so much the shin, but under the knee closer to the thigh can give you a little more ease to tip the belly forward without the super tight hamstrings. Let's take one more full breath wherever you're at. Yeah, the nice thing about propping under here to ease the hamstring stretch a bit is that you might be able to get a little deeper into this low right back muscle. Okay. All right, come back up good seated. So think of the concept of rooting to rise. Sit bones, lower body roots. As you root down, you can even tent your fingers up beside you, or tent your fingers up beside you. Lift yourself tall, rooting down to rise up. So especially from the rib cage or the navel up, there's a lifting. Lifting right up through the skull, shoulders back. Chin slightly tucks, back of the neck long. Soften the eyes, soften the muscles of the face, the jaw, shoulders. Envision again your grounding cable from the tailbone, hooking all the way down, down, down to the center of the earth, hooking it in and letting yourself release. Physical, mental, emotional energies that are ready to be recycled. And let your breath facilitate that movement. Exhales, releasing down into the earth. Inhale, drawing in new, refreshing energy, revitalizing. Right. I'm going to give one more seated pose and then we'll do a couple lying down. So, seated figure 4, or a seated version of a pigeon or a thread the needle. So I want you to lean back but keep the spine long so you're not crunching the back, shoulders back, rolling to the front of the sit bones. And then cross your left ankle over your right knee. You might need a straighter leg if this feels tight on the outer left hip. See if you can flex, especially your left toes back towards your knee. If you can, you can bring the right heel to the floor. So if this is really tight, right heel's forward. If you want to go a little deeper, right heel can walk back. Okay, so with the hands on the floor behind you, again, lift the chest, open the chest, shoulders back, inhale. And then exhale, see if you can reach your heart towards your right shin. See if you can even let the left knee relax away from you. So instead of pulling it towards you, you're moving it away from you. Okay, and you could also alternatively do this laying on your back, but this way it gets you a little more leverage. And I find I get lazy when I do it laying on my back, so I'll just show you what it looks like. Quite similar. Just reclining, so with the right foot either on the floor or coming into your chest. So it is nice to experiment with these shapes in different planes and inclines, because here gravity works with you in a different way, and it's a little easier for the weight of the right leg to draw the left shin towards you. But whichever position you do it in, be mindful of your knees. So flexing the left foot keeps our knee a little more safe. You can unwind. Do a seated windshield wiper here. Flex the feet, rock the knees, and inhale knees up, exhale knees to the left. Keep the chest lifting up. So we're going to be more cow pose than cat pose. Okay, and we'll do the other side. So you will cross the right ankle over the left knee, flexing the right foot. Open the chest, lift the spine, let the right knee relax away from you. So you can think of the inner thigh now spiraling out towards the upper thigh and around. So external rotation of your right thigh. If you want to go deeper, pull your left heel closer to you. Lift the heart, reach your belly, your heart towards your right shin. Okay. Stay here or try it laying on your back. the left foot on the floor or left knee towards your chest. Thread the needle, or supine, or seated pigeon, or figure 4. So this is for the outer hip of the leg that's crossing. So the right outer hip could get into the piriformis and other muscles in the back of the right glute. Loosening those can help loosen any tension connected to the low back. Right. And if you're not laying down, make your way from the seated figure 4 onto your back, and then just reach both legs up into the sky. They might be a little bent, or if you can get them straight, reach them straight. And just point and flex the feet a few times. Inhale to point up the toes, and exhale, flex the toes down. Good. Knees to chest again. Rock your hips side to side. Imagine wiggling the hips forward, away from the shoulders, the rib cage. Skull reaches back. Good. And then again, reach your legs up to the sky. And then see if you can fold the thighs towards your chest, holding behind the thighs, and just explore reaching 1 or 2 legs back overhead. So you'll feel a hamstring stretch. The back of the seat might come off the floor a little bit. If this doesn't feel great, keep your thighs away from your torso. So it's like a seated forward fold. It's a supine. We're laying on our backs. But if you imagine we had straight legs on the floor, folding over our legs, but instead we get to keep a nice long posture through the spine, shoulders back, so we can keep that long front of the torso. Using gravity to draw the legs down. Alright. Bring your feet to the floor. I like to do it one at a time, just to be gentle on myself. And then we'll do a twist. So, I'm going to give you guys 2 variations. Straighten the right leg. Open your arms out into a T shape. And then lift your left foot off the floor and bring it to touch the inner right thigh. Left foot to the inner right thigh. And then lean your left knee over to the right. It does not have to touch the floor. Just lean it to the right until your left hip lifts off the floor. So both shoulders are down, both arms are on the floor. As your left hip lifts, your left knee reaches over to the right. Okay. Perhaps even turning your gaze over to the left hand. If this feels unstable and slightly straining, you could try lifting the knee a bit until you can bring your toes or your foot to the floor, so slightly. Or you can, I'll leave it at that option for this pose. Okay, and then come back onto your back and I'll show you a second twist, same direction. So bend both knees, feet on the floor. Okay, shimmy your hips to the left, let's say 2 or 3 inches, set them back down, lift your feet up and roll both knees to the right, to the floor. Okay, for some of you, this is a giant twist, especially if you haven't been rotating your spine much lately. So feel free to prop under the right thigh or shin, so you've got less far to go, so it's not creating so much strain. Nice deep breaths into the whole torso as you inhale, and as you exhale, let the spine relax into the twist. Knees to the right, left shoulder back and down, maybe even gazing left. Good, and then come back to center. So just notice which of those two twists feels better for you. So neutralize the spine, can lift and lower the hips, can windshield wiper the legs or hug the knees in, and just notice what your body craves in between the sides of twisting. Okay, and then as you're ready, straighten the left leg on the floor, arms out into a T, right foot to the floor with a bent knee, and then lift your right foot up and bring it to the inside, bring the inner right foot to the left inner thigh, and then lean. You can use your arms as kind of help to leverage or propel you. Lean the right knee to the left, lift your right hip off the floor. Okay, so your shoulders stay on the floor as your hips rotate to the left. If you want to twist all the way up the spine, you can even turn your gaze over to your right hand. So knees go right, right knee goes left, gaze goes right. And just notice how this one bent knee twist feels compared to the next one. Come back up to center, both knees bend, feet on the floor. Shimmy your hips from center, 2 or 3 inches to the right, and then lift both feet off the floor. Lean your knees over to the left. You might bring a blanket under the left shin and thigh to catch you for a little extra support. So legs twist left, bent knees, right shoulder rolls back and down, maybe even gaze to the right. That's not it's not necessary. You could gaze up, you could gaze to the left, same way as your knees. But if you'd like to go deeper and it feels good, you might gaze right. So find where it feels best. Sometimes it feels best for me just to gaze up. Deep breaths into your whole torso and expansion. And as you exhale, let gravity relax the legs down to the left, the right shoulder back and down. Awesome. So any of these poses can be done with longer holds. Yeah, we did the one leg extended fold, the lost the name of it in Sanskrit. Anyways, Janushirshasana, seated, one leg extended. We did the figure four legs, and then we've done these twists. Inhale, come back to center, but you can always pause the video and hold one of those poses longer if it gives you lots of relief. Okay, so let yourself unwind here. Could be windshield wiper legs, rocking side to side. It could be knees hugging into chest. Could be legs up to the sky. Could be actually feet on the floor, lifting the hips up. So let's actually do that. Let's do a little bridge. Heels under knees. See if you can bring the shins vertical. Feet hip distance, toes point forward. Okay. And then just tuck your shoulder blades underneath you a little more. Palms of the hands on the floor. Or I really like pointing my fingers up to the sky. So elbows and shoulders are rooted. Back of the neck is arcing away from the floor. Inhale, lift the hips up. So you're pushing through feet, elbows, shoulders. Lifting the hips, tuck your tailbone forward. And lower down. Good. Knees to chest. But this time bring the knees wide again, like that reclining squat. And then reach your arms inside the thighs or knees. Hold the fronts of your shins and see if you can pivot your feet to face the ceiling. Happy baby. So you're working to bring the thighs towards the chest and to the floor beside your chest. So that might mean you need a little more bend in the knees. And then I like to actively pull down on my shins so that I can keep the thigh bones moving down. Maybe even push the elbows out on the inner thighs or knees. So you get an opening through the groin and the inner thigh. Flex the feet, reach the heels up as you pull the knees and thighs down. Good, you can stay still or you can rock side to side. Think of lengthening the hips away from the ribs. So lengthen the low back, lengthen the hips forward. Happy baby pose. Good, you might even try bringing the bottoms of your feet to touch, like a reclining bound angle or cobbler's pose, still or rocking. And then I find for the final resting pose, when my low back is tired or aching or sensitive, straight legs laying on the floor does not feel good for me. So if you could get a roll, a bolster, like a big yoga pillow, or a really fat rolled blanket, like no smaller than this, I would say. If you can do bigger, but keep it as wide as your mat, because it's also nice to let the thigh bones relax out a little bit. So for the final resting pose, either like this, or if it feels good, you can do reclining bound angle. I feel much more comfortable with my thighs or knees propped up in that position. But actually for the ultimate low back rest, I would lay you down on your left side, arm under your head as a pillow, or you could get a folded blanket under your head as a pillow, and then perhaps leaning your arm. So I like to snuggle a bolster or a blanket right up beside my belly and my chest. Rest my top arm on it. So finding your comfortable position for Shavasana for the final resting pose. Could be on your back with a bolster under your knees. Could do reclining bound angle pose with the knees bent and the feet together. Knees or thighs propped up if you like, or laying on your left side. Bent knees, supported belly, supported head. So you want to see if you can keep your neck in as much line with your spine as you can. So if that means grabbing another pillow to do that. Stay in your resting position. Allow your breath to deepen. Allow your whole body to relax and release. See if you can invite the thinking mind to soften and surrender, and let the awareness part of your mind stay just conscious, so the body almost falls asleep, but the mind stays aware as a witness. You can invite the mind to observe your breath, invite the mind to observe the sensations or the movement of your body as you breathe, sort of settling down. Perhaps even setting the intention to release any lingering tension with each exhale, release it into the earth. choose to stay in Shavasana in the final resting pose longer, if that's the case, stay longer. If you're ready to come out, deepen your breath gradually. Bring little movements back to your fingers and your toes. Perhaps a yawn. Perhaps a big stretch and a reach as you inhale. If you're on your back, you might bend the knees and rock side to side. Eventually roll onto one side and help yourself all the way up to a tall, comfortable seat, maybe sitting on a folded blanket. One hand to your heart, one to your belly. Take 3 deep breaths all the way in, rooting your hips to rise, your heart, and all the way out. Let your head bow down to your heart. 2 more breaths, rooting down to rise up. Soft mind, soft eyes. Buoyant heart. Grounded pelvis. Last breath. See if you can feel for the structure of your body, your skeleton like a scaffolding, and the spaciousness that has been created with your breath. Bring your hands together to meet in front of your heart in prayer. Lift your heart again, bow your head, and thank yourself for taking the time to practice. The light in me honors the light in you. Namaste.